Is Hamzat Chimaev making $15 million? Is Ilir Topuria making $15 million? Merab Dvalishvili making $15 million? We don't know because those numbers are always hidden. But I truly believe it's a flex from Dana White paying Conor Benn $15 million.
If you couldn't see the value of your fighters prior to this, and I've been saying this for a long time, I feel like we have deserved more. I hate hearing stories of fighters getting to what is the pinnacle of your career in terms of the UFC and still being broke. It just shouldn't.
UFC fighters are no longer whispering but erupting after Conor Benn signed a stunning deal with Zuffa Boxing for a reported $15 million payday. The figure detonated inside locker rooms, fueling anger among athletes who already feel underpaid. Now the gloves are off and the battle over money and respect has begun.
And to see it and how quickly he values people away from, how highly he values people away from the sport that kind of built his reputation. It's just upsetting, to be fair. It's disappointing more than anything. And that's probably all I'll say on that.
Demetrius Johnson says he had never heard of Conor Benn until the news of a staggering $15 million payday hit. He called the number insane and questioned whether any fight could truly justify that price. While admitting Benn is reportedly a skilled boxer, Johnson suggested the payout feels less earned and more like a bold flex from Dana White, reminding everyone that most fighter paydays stay hidden.
And, $15 million for one fight, it's crazy because what's going to happen after this fight, right? Is the $15 million worth having Conor Benn? It's the first time I've heard of him. From what everybody tells me, he's a very good boxer. But is Hamzat Chimaev making $15 million? Is Ilir Topuria making $15 million? Merab Dvalishvili making $15 million? We don't know because those numbers are always hidden. But I truly believe it's a flex from Dana White paying Conor Benn $15 million.
Sean O'Malley reacted with open disbelief when he heard that Conor Benn is set to pocket $15 million to fight under Zuffa Boxing. He confessed he doesn't even know who Benn is, which made the number hit even harder, calling it insane how someone can step in and command that kind of money overnight. O'Malley stressed that he has spent years grinding in the UFC, building his name from the ground up, turning himself into a major star through blood, hype, and headline fights, yet he still isn't earning $15 million per bout.
For me, it's so hard to believe just because I did see it, I heard it, I've been told, Tim told me, did you see that? I'm like, that doesn't mean it's true. I don't know, it could very well be true. I can't imagine it being true. Zuffa Boxing, it's like, they're paying out, I don't even know who Conor Benn is.
I don't know.
He supposedly is a pretty big name in boxing, but I never heard of him. Yeah, they really paid this is Ben Johns?
Conor
Benn. Whatever.
Conor Benn.
If they really, Ben Jones used to be a UFC fighter. They really paid him $15 million. It's like,
I wouldn't blame you for going to box.
Yeah, it's crazy how you just put in so much work in the UFC, build this name, create this character, be this star, and it's like, I'm not making $15 million fight.
Yeah.
But it's also a business. If they think that's a good business move and that guy's going to bring in money, it's like, I get it. I don't take anything personal in business. Business is business.
MMA Joey fired back at Sean O'Malley's remarks, saying fighters still refuse to grasp just how much money the UFC squeezes from their blood and sacrifice, while many of them are paid a fraction in return. He warned that the promotion generates billions behind closed doors, yet the athletes see only crumbs from the feast. MMA Joey snapped, "How do fighters not realize the UFC is making money hand over fist off their backs? They get paid the bare minimum while the company pulls in billions. They'd have to unite to change it, and that's never happening." His words landed like a cold verdict. Then Michael Venom Page weighed in, equally unsettled by Conor Benn's $15 million Zuffa Boxing deal. He admitted the flashy announcement did nothing for him because the real mystery isn't the headline number, it's what these partnerships truly mean for the fighters risking everything. Without transparency, without proof that the athletes gain real leverage or long-term security, Page saw no reason to cheer, only more smoke hiding the fire.
I wanted to ask you, with your ties to the UK, some of the biggest news last week was Conor Benn signing with Zuffa Boxing. What was your reaction when you saw him going over and the price tag attached with it?
I feel like everyone's trying to get me in trouble here. Yeah, it's not something that I'm happy about. So what I would say is when the announcement of the Paramount, big money partnership came, people was asking me, how do you, excited about this? And my answer was, well, what does that mean for the fighters? Until we understand how that's going to translate to the fighters, there's nothing to really be excited about.
MVP tore into the deal, saying the $15 million price tag feels out of place, almost unreal. He admitted Conor Benn is a talented fighter with clear skill, but argued he hasn't yet proven himself as the undisputed best in his division, not in a way that justifies a number that explosive. To Page, it isn't about jealousy, it's about balance. He stressed that fighters inside the UFC grind at the absolute highest level night after night, risking everything under brighter lights and deeper competition, yet many of them still struggle to secure financial stability. Seeing one athlete handed a massive payday while others continue fighting for fractions exposes what he believes is a deeper fracture in the system. Page suggested that when huge sums are placed on a single name without equally valuing the rest of the roster, it sends a dangerous message about worth. For him, the real issue isn't Benn's talent, it's the glaring contrast that forces everyone to question how fighters are truly compensated.
You couldn't see the value of your fighters prior to this, and then you slap a price tag on. I love Conor Benn, but he's nowhere near the best in his field. I think he's a great fighter. I love watching. He's an exciting fighter, but he's not the best in his field in terms of his weight division and so on and so forth. He's still got yet to prove. He's got a lot to prove still within the boxing world, and you slap that price tag on him. I understand leverage in terms of his position at the moment. Again, maybe it's because of the competition with Eddie Hearn. He's got a bit of a, back and forth with him. So it could be, he overlooked that side. But if you couldn't see the value of your fighters prior to this, and I've been saying this for a long time, I feel like we have deserved more. I hate hearing stories of fighters getting to what is the pinnacle of your career in terms of the UFC and still being broke. It just shouldn't exist unless you're just completely terrible with money. It just shouldn't exist that you're struggling from fight to fight, and it just shouldn't be.
YouTuber Marcos stepped into the chaos and fired back at everyone sounding jealous over Conor Benn's massive signing, delivering a blunt reality check. Marcos said, "All these MMA fighters crying about how much Conor Benn is making for his debut Zuffa fight forget that he just packed back-to-back stadium shows in London in his last two outings. He's one of the biggest stars in UK boxing. To him, the number wasn't shocking, it was earned." But the twist came when Eddie Hearn echoed a different frustration, turning the spotlight toward UFC pay itself. Hearn argued that fighters inside the promotion are dramatically underpaid compared to headline deals like Benn's reported $15 million, and said the structure shows little loyalty once the lights dim. He claimed the system often disrespects the very athletes who build it, pointing to Tom Aspinall as a heavyweight who has delivered in the cage yet still appears publicly undervalued. According to Hearn, the contrast is too glaring to dismiss. The pay gap, the treatment, the silence around contracts, it all paints a picture that's impossible to ignore, and the noise around Benn's payday has only ripped that curtain wider open.
How do you think UFC fighters will be feeling seeing the figures?
Sick as a dog. Sick as a dog.
Deal.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a UFC fighter, you're looking at this Zuffa going, what? I'm being absolutely ripped off here. I'm generating more revenue than these guys, and I'm getting a tenth of the money. But listen, there's no loyalty in that game. Look at Aspinall. I mean, he gets his eyes gouged out, and he just gets humiliated by UFC, and basically told everyone he's a liar and this is a cutthroat business.
Who on earth is finding them the money to pay him?
Well, it starts with T and it ends with Sh.
On the other hand, Conor Benn is now absorbing heavy backlash after his decision to leave Eddie Hearn and align himself with Zuffa Boxing. Critics question his loyalty, fans debate his motives, and whispers follow every headline. Yet Benn pushed back on the noise, explaining that his choice was never about betrayal but about priority. He said his family comes first, and when an offer that life-changing lands on the table, it becomes impossible to ignore. Calling the deal too good to refuse, he framed the move as a necessary step into a new chapter of his career, one that secures his future beyond the ropes. At the same time, Benn made it clear he still values his history with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, insisting there is respect despite the split. To him, this isn't a burned bridge, it's a calculated turn towards something bigger, even if the reaction around him grows louder by the day.
I'm doing this for my family. It's an offer that you'd be mentally ill to turn down. So for me, I'm blessed to be in the position I'm in. I'm happy to be in the position I'm in. It's taken my career, it's taken again yet another turn in a direction I didn't think it would turn into, but I want to maintain my relationship with Matchroom, specifically Eddie Hearn, Frank Smith. You know, so when it comes down to a decision that I need to make, whether it's easy or not, or whether it's comfortable or not, it's a decision that I had to make for me and my family. In 10 years' time, in 15 years' time, when I'm done and retired, will anybody care about me then? No, nobody will. Right now, I'm hot property. Right now, I'm this. Right now, I'm that. In 10, 15 years' time.
Eddie Hearn admitted he was deeply hurt when Conor Benn chose to sign with Dana White, saying the sting wasn't just business, it felt personal. He believed the loyalty they had built over years deserved at least one honest conversation before such a dramatic shift. Hearn revealed he was stunned that Benn declined to make a simple phone call, especially after all the backing, guidance, and belief he had invested in shaping his rise. Their silence cut deeper than the signature. Still, despite the disappointment, Hearn kept his composure in public, refusing to let emotion derail his focus. He made it clear that while the situation blindsided him, he remains professional, driven, and committed to moving forward without bitterness.
When I received the email from his lawyer, I texted him and said, I think we should have a call. I think you, for everything I've done for you, I think I deserve a call. And he said, no. Man, fuck. I can't believe it. Very painful. I don't know, feels a little bit of a wasted few years. Pretty devastated. I've had a few days to digest what might happen, so maybe this interview's different to what it would have been a couple of days ago. It's not often you get shocked, and I blame myself. I forgot it was boxing. The loyalty that we've shown would never ever put us in this position. I made a mistake because I misjudged the character, and I backed him. When he was done, out, loaned him hundreds of thousands of pounds. You know, some people, loyalty really matters. Other people, maybe not so. There's a lot I could say, but we'll keep it classy. Maybe he's not quite the person I thought he was. I don't know. Look, maybe we'll talk in the future, but what can I say? He's just put a little bit more of a fucking rocket up my arse to say, okay.
However, Dana White brushed off the Conor Benn situation with sharp sarcasm, openly poking at Eddie Hearn's emotional reaction. He reduced the drama to simple business, saying Benn saw the bigger offer and had every right to take it without apology. White argued that if Hearn truly wanted to keep his fighter, he had every opportunity to match the number on the table. He flatly denied any stories about missed phone calls, suggesting the narrative was being twisted to create sympathy. Then he shut down rumors of a finalized fight altogether, stressing that if anything official had been signed or locked in, the world would already know. In his view, the outrage was overblown, the loyalty talk misplaced, and the reality brutally simple. In this game, money talks first and explanations come later.
I think you saw this week, I am really beating up babies. Is there a bigger than Eddie Hearn?
He was quite upset that Conor Benn left.
Is there a bigger than Eddie Hearn? This guy's supposed to be your friend. You're crying, he made more money. He's going to make more money, and he had the right to match it. He could have matched it.
I think he said he tried and Conor Benn wouldn't return his calls.
What a crock of shit. Yeah. We're literally beating up babies.
Meanwhile, Conor Benn made it clear he wasn't avoiding a call from Eddie Hearn. With tensions running high between both sides, he believed that confronting the situation in the heat of the moment would only have fueled more conflict and escalated emotions further. From his experience, conversations driven by ego, pride, or anger rarely produce solutions, and he didn't want words slipping out that could damage relationships permanently. Instead of reacting publicly, he waited for the storm to calm. Once things settled down, he reached out privately, told Hearn he still loved and respected him, and emphasized that this chapter wasn't a final goodbye. He framed it as a shift, not an ending, making it clear that although paths were changing, the journey between them wasn't completely over.
He did say that he wanted to speak to you before this went over the line, and you chose not to speak to him. Can you kind of elaborate on that? What was you thinking in that moment?
I didn't choose not to speak to him. I didn't want to go into the details of it. And I think things were very heated with the teams, and knowing how I am as an individual, would the call have been beneficial? Would the call have been great for us? And I personally don't think it would have. But once the dust had settled and it had calmed down, I messaged Eddie saying, I love you, mate. And, you know, this ain't the end of the road. You know, the journey does continue. But when things are heated, I've said things in the moment from previous experiences where, you know, you regret saying them. Why why speak in the midst of hurt, ego, pride, anger? Nothing good comes from it, you know. So I think we both could have dealt with it better.
Conor Benn emphasized that Eddie Hearn remains a friend and someone he still wants involved in his career, making it clear he is reaching out to keep Hearn part of his team moving forward. He acknowledged the guidance, backing, and support he received over the years and said he owes much of his growth to that foundation. Even with the business split and new direction, he stressed that respect and appreciation are still intact, and he hopes the professional relationship can continue in some capacity despite the changes.
He's my friend, he's my guy. He's my guy. Ultimately, he should be happy for me that I'm in this position that I'm in. I want him to be part of it. I'm messaging him directly saying, Eddie, I want you to be part of the team, man. I want you to be here. The journey's not done. I owe everything to them.
On the other hand, the boxing community reacted sharply to Conor Benn's switch to Zuffa Boxing, treating it like a breaking point rather than just a contract change. Frank Smith voiced clear disappointment, saying that after years of support, development, and investment, loyalty deserves more than silence. It deserves at least a direct conversation before a sudden move. He admitted he wasn't completely shocked given the doubts and controversies that have followed Benn in the past, but that didn't soften the blow. Smith described the decision as upsetting and frustrating, yet realistic enough to accept. In his view, there's no turning back now, no dramatic reversal, only acknowledgement of the split and a forced shift toward moving forward despite the tension and unresolved feelings left behind.
Very different if you've promoted someone for 1 fight, 2 fights, 3 fights, right? You kind of can't expect the same level of loyalty, or at least relationship. And I think the right way to go about it is have a sit down or a phone call and say, look, you know, have that discussion. But this just didn't go like that. It's a shame, you know. I'm not personally shocked because I always kind of knew what he was in terms of like his character. I always knew, in my opinion, he had this kind of, I don't know whether you call it behaviour or what you want to call it, but you know, I think when you dedicate 10 years to someone and you go through the things we've been through with him, maybe the expectations think, oh no, he wouldn't do that. But again, it's he's done it, hasn't he? So go on, move on.
Carl Frampton described Conor Benn's switch to Dana White as one of the biggest betrayals he can recall in boxing. He said the move hit hard because of the years of support, investment, and guidance Benn received from Eddie Hearn, making the sudden shift feel personal rather than purely business. Frampton admitted he understands fighters chasing bigger opportunities, but he still found the decision shocking given the history between the two sides and the loyalty that was built over time.
I think, for me, this is the biggest betrayal I can remember in boxing. For everything Eddie's done for the kid, backed him to the hilt, you know.
And you've been involved. I don't want to go too much into it, but you've been betrayed yourself in boxing as well.
Yeah, but this is different. But this is different. I think just how much Eddie put his neck on the line for the lad and everyone else, Frank and the whole team at Matchroom. How they backed him, how they got him a couple of fights before the Eubank fights. Had to loan him money to live while he was struggling. What he made him made 20 million the 2 Eubank fights, something around that number anyway. And to jump ship with someone who you have a real rivalry with now as well. It's not like someone around. It's Dana White. He's jumped ship with Dana White. It's the, I would easily say, the biggest betrayal that I can remember in boxing.
Dave Coldwell expressed real shock over Conor Benn's signing with Dana White. He recalled first hearing the news at home from his son and assuming it was a joke or fake headline because the move felt so unexpected. When he checked and realized it was true, the surprise turned into genuine disbelief. Coldwell admitted the decision caught him completely off guard, highlighting how dramatic and unpredictable the shift was within the boxing and combat sports community.
Conor Benn, the Zuffa Boxing. Where were you when you read it or saw it? And how did you react?
So I was at home, my son, my little boy shouts out, Conor Benn's left Eddie. I was like, shut up, you idiot. And I thought he was just joking. It shows me the post, and at first I thought it was like one of these flag accounts that come out with some rubbish. And I literally ripped the piss out of him and told him, you're talking shit, man. And then I looked, I was like, oh my God, genuinely, there's not a lot that shocks me in boxing. That rocked me big time. I was proper shocked. I can't believe it. Eddie and Matchroom You know, to everybody, they've backed him. They've backed Conor throughout the dark days, throughout the 2 failed drug tests. They've backed him to the hill. They've took a lot of shit along the way and turned a lot of people against him, backing the man. Fair enough to believe in the man, back your man, fair enough. And I understand that if somebody's coming to Conor and saying, look at this, here you go. If that's the way you are, if money's, you know, above everything else, 10 million a fight or whatever it's reported to be, I understand why you'd want to take that. But it's not like his skin. It's not a good few mil. But if that's what you want to do, fair enough. My issue isn't what he's done, it's how he's done it. To think that after everything that they've done is an email from his lawyer and then to refuse to speak to him, mate, I think that's scummy. And I just think it's wrong.
Johnny Nelson also weighed in on Conor Benn's switch to Zuffa Boxing, recalling that Eddie Hearn had hinted at the possibility days earlier. Nelson stressed that the move raises serious loyalty questions, arguing that when someone invests in you and stands by you, respect should be returned before any sudden departure. He warned that Benn could face heavy backlash for the decision, adding that crossing Hearn often comes with consequences because of how fiercely he protects and defends the fighters he supports. According to Nelson, the situation isn't just about money, it's about trust, reputation, and the long-term impact such a bold move can have on relationships inside the sport.
The moment when you saw that post, welcome to Zuffa Boxing, Conor Benn, what's the first thing that went through your head?
The first thing that went through my head was Eddie said something 2 days ago, and he said something about fighters or leavers, fighters, you know, this will happen, this is business, in regards to Dana White's back and forth with them. So Eddie knew a few days ago, but it was just a bit of an odd thing to say when he said it. And so that kind of stood out. I went, oh, that's what you were referring to, because Eddie said he knew a few days ago. What my thoughts on it? Well, you know my thoughts on loyalty. And if someone's good to me, if someone's right to me, you know, I'm right to them. Brendan, I'm fiercely loyal to Brendan because of what he did and how he did change my life. And I get that. For Conor, I think Conor's going to get a hell of a lot of backlash because Eddie, as I've said before, if Eddie's on your side, he's going to fight tooth and nail. He's going to put his heart on the line for you. He'll do everything. The worst thing you want to be is an enemy of Eddie.
The ongoing debate around Conor Benn and his $15 million move to Zuffa Boxing has intensified conversations about fighter pay and loyalty across the sport. With stars from the UFC and boxing figures reacting strongly, the situation has divided opinions. Some see it as securing a fighter's future, while others question how the deal was handled and what it means for long-standing relationships. Even comments from leaders like Dana White have fueled the discussion further. At its core, the story has sparked a wider reflection on respect, communication, and fair compensation in combat sports. Don't miss out. Subscribe now for more updates and reactions from the world of boxing and MMA.